Welcome to The Wrecking Trade, this and every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m., the radio show that provides a platform for a deeper understanding of issues affecting men in the Cayman Islands. Join us as we explore the low enrollment of men and boys in college classrooms, the absence of men in the church, and the absence of fathers in the home. Join the conversation as we help men find their place in the modern world. Through engaging interviews with experts and members of the community, we provide a clear picture of what healthy masculinity looks like as an example for boys and girls. Our mission is to provide a voice for men, to help them navigate the challenges that they face and provide hope for a brighter future. So tune in this and every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. and join the conversation on The Wrecking Trade. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of men and boys in the Cayman Islands. Brought to you by Oscore Fitness, strong inside, powerful outside, and the Bellagio Salon and Spa, where beauty is reimagined. Welcome to the Wrecking Trade right here on Bobo FM. My name is Robert Lynch. Today we're going to have a great day. We've been having some great conversations over the last couple of weeks, establishing or exploring the landscape of what relationships look like in 2023. Today we're going to dig right into, is marriage still worth it? I mean, with all the things that we've talked about the divorce rate, we've talked about the single mother situation, we've talked about all the negative outcomes out of those situations, we've talked about male-female interaction, we've also talked about male accountability, and if you know, then you know that that's what this show is all about, male accountability. Today we're going to explore with some really great guests, is marriage still worth it, and would you recommend it to a friend, your son, whoever it is? So, if I can kick over, let's see, we're going to start off with 5 easy questions, and it is your name, your age, your relationship status, your highest education level completed, and what do you do for work? Okay. All right, so name, age, relationship status, highest level of education completed, and what do you do for work? And who'd like to go? You might have to write it down. But ladies first.
You're so very kind. I don't know, when I heard age, I was questioning that. I'm like, wait a minute, do I even want to be here? My name's Cynthia Hew. I am 47 years old, just. I am married to a wonderful individual who loves me no matter who I am or what I do. And I have a bachelor's degree in business administration as well as broadcast journalism. And I currently own a kitchen store, Vivant, in Cayman Bay, and have been doing that for the last 15 years. And also a proud mother of 2 sons, a 15-year-old and a 25-year-old, my stepson. So some interesting family dynamics, but I wouldn't want it any other way.
Awesome. That means there's kids in the mix. Great. So we're going to have some great conversations about that later on. Go ahead.
Hey, my name is Wrendon Timothy. So that's number 1. My age, Saturday gone was my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yep. So I turned 43. Can't believe so many years has passed so fast. What I do, so I'm the CFO of a company called Oxbridge Holdings. It's a publicly listed, NASDAQ listed reinsurance company. We also started an investment company, a special purpose acquisition company, to merge with blockchain or artificial intelligence company. So I'm also the CFO and a director of that company. I do a lot of things on the side, but those are my bread and butter in the day. I am happily married for 15 years now. It's a pretty long time, can't believe 15 years has passed. I'm the proud father of one beautiful daughter. She's only 5 years old, but she acts as 50. And did I miss something? I think that was the 5.
Yes, and what do you do for work, which you've already talked about. Great. All right. So both of you are married and both of you had kids, so that's a really great place for us to dig into later on. But like we like to do, let's see if we can establish some ground situations. What is your view or your definition of masculinity? We want to check in on what's masculinity, what's femininity for you?
Ooh, for me, I think masculinity would be somebody that is a caretaker in their own right. Someone that is, in my mind, someone that takes care of everything on the outside of the house. And that tends to be the rules in my own home. Anything inside the house is my daily do. If you want food, don't worry, it's always going to be there. Menu will be created for the week. You never have to worry about that unless it involves air conditioning and plumbing. That too is not my responsibility. I will happily give that off to somebody else. But masculinity, I feel, is, and even femininity, it's all about knowing yourselves and what is really where your passion lies. And I look at men, and if men are passionate about, a physical stance and a physical presence, and that's where they put their energy, I, celebrate that. If it's more of an emotional support for the family, that too can be a form of masculinity. And when it comes to feminine, I feel the same way. I mean, purely women often will use their physical presence as a way to establish themselves in a room. I'm not saying all, but I do myself. I mean, I do feel that that's one of the gifts that women have. But it all depends. You know, I look at my position in a situation where I'm dealing with you know, CEOs and even clients or various vendors, and it's a heavy male environment, especially in the construction industry. And I can still present myself in a very feminine way, but be very authoritative. So I find that while, I find that it's more how the person presents themselves, and you'll be able to realize what that form of masculinity or femininity is for that each individual.
Awesome. What I'm getting from you is two things, and correct me if I'm misinterpreting here. First up, you believe in gender roles. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, I do.
Fair enough.
Unless they don't work for me, and then I'm like, hold on. but I kind of do. And I say that, like, no, I don't expect somebody, I can open the door for myself, but if a gentleman comes along and opens it for me, I value that. I like to know, I believe in relationships, it should be balanced and fair, and that comes with some level of compromise. But I know what I'm capable of. I know I can change a tire, but that doesn't mean I'm signing up to change it. So I do, to a certain extent, believe in gender roles, but a woman should be able to take care of themselves.
Awesome. So I love that take. Before I come to you, I just want to see if I can underline that a little bit. What I'm hearing you saying is that accepting gender roles or allowing or accepting help from man doesn't mean that you can't do it. It doesn't take anything away from you.
Not at all.
Right? It
Not
just
at all.
allows you to be in that complementary space with each other.
And it's an opportunity to learn. You know, oftentimes men are sometimes stronger than women. And I mean, for me, I'm necessarily lean enough, but I have muscle. But no, I don't need to go and lift something extremely heavy and risk hurting myself because my ego is driving me. I can watch somebody else do it and learn perhaps a different way of handling something that I would have done differently. So I think watching men do what they do and women do what they do is an opportunity for learning and a level of experience exposure.
Awesome. Appreciate your response.
Man, I'm just basking and listening and learning, and I'm enjoying this conversation. To add to what she says in terms of masculinity, if I have to characterize masculinity in one word, I would say leadership. Taking the lead, being accountable for the consequences of yourself and for your family. And so I think strong men and real masculine men aren't afraid to take risks if it results in the protection or the benefit of their family. And you know, we can go back to medieval times and if you're going to say Stone Age or back in the day, you know, men were hunters. Men ensured that the family was protected, the family was provided for. They had everything that they needed to survive and to thrive. And I think in this environment that you live in now, partially because of mix up in gender roles. So I still believe in gender roles if you're going to ask me that. But partially because of the mix up in gender roles, some men have, I guess, taken a back seat. And some women have kind of pushed forward and started to take that place because some men have reneged on that, or some women have probably thought, well, maybe I can do what a man can do. You know, and that can cause problems, you know, society, that can cause problems in relationships. I think as my colleague said, you know, finding that balance, it's going to be different for each marriage, for each relationship, but I think finding that balance in understanding, if you have a strong man in the house, don't go and try to change your tire, man. You understand?
I've been known to do a couple things on the outside with attitude because I've had to wait. But at the end of the day, I make it known that that's not my role.
Yeah, that's not your role. Exactly. And I think, you know, I think God knows. So let me just preface, my faith kind of informs my worldview of how I see things, and I believe marriage still works because anything that God created was done well.
Yes.
We have messed it up because of our own selfishness and, you know, what we want, you know, it's all about me. And in relationships, when it becomes about just me, if both parties are just trying to satisfy themselves, then you're gonna have problems. So finding that balance, knowing what works for your family, knowing when to, I do believe that women sometimes have to exhibit some type of leadership, authoritative type presentation sometimes, but if that characterizes you all of the time, that's a problem. Men are turned off by women who exhibit more masculine tendencies consistently more than them. That's a huge thing. Just like a woman wouldn't be attracted to a man who comes across effeminate every day, right? So it's about finding that balance. And I think, that's what this show is about, helping us explore, how we can find that balance through our life experiences, through our research, through statistics, through just talking, So
fair enough.
Happy to be here and be part of this wonderful discussion.
And celebrating with us just after your birthday.
Yes.
But just to not take anything for granted, if I may throw that question that he just raised at you, Cynthia. You are at home, you're asleep, your husband is beside you, and we live in a fair and balanced world, and he goes, there's a rustling outside, and he goes, I'm scared, you go defend us.
Wouldn't happen.
Would not happen.
It wouldn't happen, but I also am prepared that if for some reason he is traveling or something else, I need to know that I'm going to take care of myself and my family. So, but that's why, like you had said before about communication and discussion, that's where the communication discussion comes in, where, okay, you're going to be traveling, all right, we've got a system that's set up in the house, so we've got an alarm on, that's connected to the police, so if something were bad to happen, let's go through those steps. No different if there was a fire. So I think it's important for you to, going back to the word balance, when in a relationship, it needs to be a balance. There are some things, and Joey, my husband Joey, that he is very good at, and there's some things that I am very good at, and sometimes we have to cross those paths, but we do so in open dialogue and finding out, okay, well, if you're doing this and you're not going to be available, how can I do it? Or, I even think of just the other week, we were talking about business, and, Joey is my partner in life, and so oftentimes if I'm challenged with things at work, I will come home and I'll say, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And he'll mention some things that I wasn't even thinking. It comes from a completely different perspective, and that to me is so valuable. So it's not even about if someone's breaking into their house, it's life in general, and I think that is what makes relationships work.
Perfect, powerful. And what I'm hearing is that you are not saying women need to be helpless at all. So if there's a situation that happens and you're alone, you should be able to handle a couple of things for yourself, take care of yourself to keep yourself safe. But in a situation where you do have, like you said, a strong man, a good man, a powerful man at home, you don't need to fight for that power.
Not at all. And I don't know if power is the right word. So if something, we have had incidences where you hear something outside, Joey pops up and I'm in bed, and of course I get up right after. And then in the back of my mind is like, am I doing myself or him any favors? Because if somebody is there, he's going to be more concerned, like, where is she, than he is dealing with the situation. There was a storm a couple of, I think it was sometime last year, and we're planning, we're trying to figure out how do we make sure the house is all secure. My business, I had to make sure that was secure. And we had to have that discussion. It's like, listen, if things get really, really challenging, what is your exit plan? And I looked at him and I thought, what do you mean I'm not leaving my business? And then he reminded me one of my most prized possessions is my young son. He's 15 years old, and what kind of burden is it going to be on him and the rest of the community? So at sometimes it is putting your ego aside and going, all right, I'll do what is the right thing, as opposed to what I really want to do. And again, that to me is the foundation of a relationship.
All right. So what I'm hearing is learning how to put ego aside is a critical aspect of getting into relationships. Not seeing self, not seeing other things I feel like or what I want to do, but how do us as a unit, as a couple, work in balance so that we can complement instead of competing. Yes?
Absolutely. And it's not always that case. I mean, I don't know about you gentlemen, but I have been very passionate, and so if things aren't going the way that I want them to, or even, God forgive me, hormones, I will not necessarily pick a fight, but I'll get into a discussion and perhaps not be as respectful And vice versa. Some things, when you're having a bad week, you just take them out on the person you love the most. And so in that moment, you have to really, really focus and remind yourself, okay, what is the outcome we're trying to achieve, right? Sometimes we get so caught up in that journey along the way that we forget, all right, you know what, I kind of love you, and we should be getting along. There's other things that we could really achieve together, so let's not focus on the ick, and let's find a way through it. If that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. And the question is popping up in my head for both of you right now is, would you consider your views the norm, some kind of unicorn thought process, or something else?
I don't think it's a norm. It probably used to be the norm, but like I said, society is messed up right now. It's really messed up, and so we have all of these mixed up with gender roles, and men not understanding what it means to be a man, women not understanding what it means to be feminine. Like I think women are the most beautiful creatures because they can pretty much get anything they want if they have the right approach. Right? Not men. Men can try 100 different things and you still don't get what you want. Like women with the right approach can pretty much achieve anything. And I think some women have the world has caused women to think that is not a gift, that is a curse, and so a lot of women, they come out of that gift that they have received and try to become more egotistical, more masculine, and that you are losing, right? Yeah.
And we cross the line, and like you said, we may even be putting ourselves in danger in those situations. Your thoughts?
Yeah.
I feel I would love to say it's the norm. I really would, because I think the world would be a kinder place. But I feel that there is such a lack of emotional intelligence taught, even amongst our kids, that I don't feel it is. I think we're driven in a society that, well, let's be showy. Let's see. What do you have? And the loudest person in the room will be heard. And so we put so much attention on that. And social media, I know we want to blame it. It has its benefit, but it also has its curse. We put so much attention on the loud that we forget that sometimes in silence is when you really know who you are and what lessons you can actually teach others. And I look at my relationship with Joey, who it has evolved. There are so many different dynamics in trying to figure out where your support is. I look at, when we first had our child, I had my 15-year-old stepson, or 10-year-old stepson at the time. He was, just moving in with us, and then I have a newborn. That put a lot of strain on the relationship. Sorry, it looks like you need to do a cut or of some sort.
I'm going to take a break, but I'm really enjoying this conversation. I hope you're listening. You're listening to The Wrecking Trade right here on Bobo FM and on YouTube. My name is Robert Lynch. We're just going to take a quick break and come back to you as we dig into this conversation. Welcome to The Wrecking Trade, this and every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m., the radio show that provides a platform for a deeper understanding of issues affecting men in the Cayman Islands. Join us as we explore the low enrollment of men and boys in college classrooms, the absence of men in the church, and the absence of fathers in the home. Join the conversation as we help men find their place in the modern world. Through engaging interviews with experts and members of the community, we provide a clear picture of what healthy masculinity looks like as an example for boys and girls. Our mission is to provide a voice for men, to help them navigate the challenges that they face and provide hope for a brighter future. So tune in this and every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. and join the conversation on The Wrecking Trade. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of men and boys in the Cayman Islands. Brought to you by Oscore Fitness, strong inside, powerful outside, and the Bellagio Salon and Spa, where beauty is reimagined. We are right in the thick of it right here on The Wrecking Trade. I'm your host, Robert Lynch. We're having a great conversation, seemingly with a pair of unicorns, right? Some views that are not the normal ones, but seems really great and very useful to help relationships find balance, especially in 2023. And as we dig into that, I want to explore something. What do you think has caused the views that you have, that I may call them traditional views or old world views, as you call them, that those are not the norm currently?
Well, I have to say that this was like where I am in my relationship. I think it has evolved. I think age is a key factor, and I think struggles is another key factor, and communication. I was saying right before we went to the break, I had my stepson, his sister, came down with a horrible disease and had to leave Ireland for a couple of years. So he moved in with us, and within the same week, I gave birth to our newborn, and that was really challenging for the relationship. And it took a lot of learning, not just about myself and Joey at the time learning about himself. It was us as a family unit and trying to figure out how do we survive this turmoil. And it was really, really hard. Society right now talks a lot about anxiety and mental health and this and that, but I feel as though saying those words and talking so loudly about it without any substance behind it to say, here's the solutions. Like, I don't know about you gentlemen, but I mean, even getting ready this morning going, okay, I'm going to be on the radio and there's going to be video, there was a level of anxiety. It is a normal.
Yes.
It's how you deal with it. And I feel relationships are the same. Had Joey and I not made the decision to work together and find our way through the challenges of that early stage, I don't know if I would have the emotional intelligence or the desire to have a balanced relationship that I do today. So it to me, it doesn't surprise me that it's not a norm, because it takes work. Just as you go to school and get your education and you learn everything and you get new skills, relationships are the same exact way. And talking about it with peers, even if you need a counselor, is so incredibly valuable. Don't be ashamed in those situations. It's something that you need to do. You need to be honest with yourself. After I had my son, there were part of me that didn't like myself anymore. I was lost. I didn't know. I knew I was a mom, but society tells me what a mom is. I didn't know. So it took me trying to figure that out and to learn to love myself in a new way. And then look at the partner across from me and know that he loved me regardless of that. Which it changed the dynamic of a relationship completely.
Awesome. Appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
Yeah, so the question was
Why are the views that you're expressing
Right.
now not the norm today?
yeah, so I think it's not the norm today. I will credit a lot of that to social media and the pushing of inaccurate information. When I look at my own relationship, I've gone through some of the same changes, self-discovery that Cynthia spoke of. But still going through it. You always learning about yourself. And when I look back, it's good to look back, not to blame, but to try to explain and to understand, right? And when you think about it, you got married to someone that you said you're gonna live with and you're gonna love through sickness and health, till death do you part, right? And there was pretty much very little preparation for that long-term contract.
Yes.
Right? Nowhere else in life or in business you take such a shallow approach to something that has long-lasting consequences, right? And when I look at even curriculum in schools, like, we aren't taught. I'm still learning how to express myself as a man, right? I'm still learning. And it's something very interesting happened, I think, on Monday night. So I do something called pillow talk with my 5-year-old, because I'm trying to make sure that she has all of these skills that I didn't have or my wife didn't have growing up, because we didn't learn some of these things, right? You have to learn it on the fly through life experiences and through discussions and talking. And I was amazed when we went through. We have something called soul words in our house. Soul words is you must be able to express. You should know more than just happy and sad, right? You must be able to talk about when you're anxious, when you're depressed, when you're overwhelmed. Be able to have a much larger vocabulary of words to express how you feel. Because a lot of times men become violent because they don't know how to express what they're feeling. Women become detached or egotistical or masculine because they don't know how to express what they want to say, right? So I'm trying to teach my daughter how to grow up to be a virtuous woman and a feminine woman and a woman of God, And so we have this conversation, and I tell you, I was totally blown away. So we went through all of the things that makes me happy. So I asked her, what are the things that make you happy? And she'll go down the line. Interestingly, one of the things she said, what makes me happy is when I get to do what I want to do.
We all.
Yeah. I was like, there you go, you're human.
Yeah.
Right?
And
check, right? And you go through what makes her sad, what makes her, anxious and afraid, and she talks about the dark, and so. And then I said, okay, let's do the reverse now. I'm gonna express what makes daddy happy and what makes daddy sad, and let's play a guessing game. Let's see if you can guess one in each category. And my 5-year-old daughter was right on point. Listen, this girl is 5 years old, right? So I'm having a plan to have a conversation with my wife and said, babe, Reese might actually know me maybe a little better than you, because at 5 she is able to list out, like I thought the one that she wouldn't get, like what makes me happy, she talks about being obedient and and spending time with the family. What makes me sad is when she's disobedient or she's rude to mommy or daddy or whatever. So the one that I didn't think she will get is what makes daddy afraid, because men afraid.
Daddy's not afraid because he's big.
Yeah, I'm trying to signal to her that we do get afraid.
We have weaknesses too.
We have weaknesses, right? So when I ask her, what do you think that is afraid of? And I was blown away. She said,
spiders.
Yeah, no. She said, so I lost my dad in 2021, and then I lost my grandfather last year. So I had 3 years of tragedy, COVID, then losing my dad and losing my grandfather, right? So it's been a pretty rough 3 years. And so she says, so she understands death in her own little unique way, right? She doesn't completely get it, but you just know this person isn't coming back, right? And she says, when I said what makes me afraid, she said, I think you're afraid if I am disobedient and not follow the rules, and I harm myself and I die and then I never come back.
Aww.
And I was almost in tears. I was like, what? Like for her to be able to like pattern that, and I'm like, if she's 5 years old and she can get to understand somebody, then there's hope for marriages, because marriages is about people understanding each other and being able to communicate effectively. And what breaks down is social media tells us you don't need to communicate. You do what, man, you do whatever you want. Woman, you do whatever you want. You're your own boss. No, but that is not.
Partnership.
Yeah, it's a partnership. Yeah. That's a recipe for disaster. Selfishness is a recipe for disaster. So I think my life experiences have taught me a lot. Reading has taught me a lot. Chatting with men and with women. My mother, she has been very instrumental in giving me advice. When I feel like, sometimes men, we think we know everything. Sometimes, most times, but you have. But being able
we're a lot more similar than not.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to ask other person, say what are your thoughts on that, and hear a completely different perspective. It's helpful. It helps you to grow.
And here it is, we get to explore that as we plumb the emotional depths of the marriage situation and explore what's worked for you both, what's not working, and what you see as the landscape and what you're actively doing to correct or mitigate some of the challenges. And one of the things that that's jumping out at me is, well, two things really. One, I got a contrast to what you were saying to the Disney dynamic, and the Disney dynamic is they meet, they kiss, the sparks go, and they live happily ever after.
That's a lie.
And here you're saying that's not how marriage works.
Yeah.
No.
Disney is fiction.
I have to say, they call it the honeymoon phase, right? So you start dating, everything is blissful, you have little arguments, but it doesn't matter because she's so pretty, or it doesn't matter because he takes care of me, this, that, and the other. And then you start to realize that the roles that you were taught as a child, and I do think that hopefully these next few generations will have a better opportunity. But previously, my parents fought a lot. And they often fought over finances, or my dad wanted to go out, my mom didn't want him to go out, and there was a lot of friction in my household. So and I remember my very strong Caymanian woman, she would tell me, don't get married and don't have children. And that is such a dangerous thing to tell your children, because marriage, in my opinion, if you find the right person, and if you feel that is a path you want to take with your life, because not everybody wants to, and that is completely fine. But if that is a path that you choose to have, including if you are married and don't have children, that too is your own personal decision. but don't allow somebody else to make that decision
Because
for
of your
you
experience,
because of
yeah.
your experience as a child. You know, I actually was like, Joey asked me to marry him. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I thought, we'll just hang out. We're good. But once we made that decision and got married and then had a child, our entire, I don't know, I felt that really changed the landscape of our relationship because it was no longer just the two of us. And we had to find a balance. You know, it is okay for a man to go out during the week and enjoy himself. It's also okay for a woman to go out and enjoy themselves because that ensures that each person remains their own person. So I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm Cynthia, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister. I have all these roles, but if I can't just do them as my own self, then it brings no value to anyone. And the same goes for a man.
Yes. And as we're talking about that, and we're looking at how do you be yourself in the situations, and I'm hearing you say much of the marriage situation has been about finding yourself and understanding yourself while you have this thing. And this thing being married. So you get married, couples get married now, they sign up for the vows, they go, hey, till death do us part. We're going through the honeymoon phase. Yay, sweet, you're beautiful, and so I forgive. Then the honeymoon phase ends, and reality starts setting in. And many people are pulling the ripcord. This is not what I signed up for. The magic is gone. All of this is happening. What is it that helped you both to stick through that part and get to the place where you are now instead of pulling the ripcord?
Well, for me, and this might not be the popular answer, but for me, it was about being a man. And that was, hey, I signed up for this, right? I have a responsibility to make this work, even though it feels like it may not be working right now. Real men don't run from fights. Real men don't run from responsibilities. That's what being a man is. You take accountability. And you know, I've had some friends who actually got divorced, and the counsel I would give to them as a friend is, hey, let your wife divorce you. Right? You don't divorce your wife, right? Because you are a man. Men don't cower under pressure. Men don't run from responsibility. Let her leave you. You don't leave. You try everything you could do. You might still fail, you know. But at the end, you must be able to say, I have done everything to save my relationship, and it didn't work. But the last thing a man should do is put his tail between his legs and run away. And again, social media and the world has made it seem, well, it's okay. You don't need a woman. You can sleep around with how many women? Why are you signing up for this thing? You're signing your life away. And from a logical standpoint, it makes sense. But from an emotional connectivity standpoint, it actually doesn't. Because again, my faith informs my worldview. And God has designed this in such a way that we should be able to find true happiness, true joy and fulfillment, not in how the animals do it and have hundreds of mates, but being able to commit to something. Even though that might not be a natural nature, your nature might be you want to spread seeds all abroad, right? But a man being masculine is taking leadership, being accountable for your actions, and if I say this is what I'm gonna do, yeah.
Even in the face of great adversity.
Even in the face of great adversity. You look at, I used to love war movies, right? Growing up. Tour of Duty was a show that I used to watch every Tuesday night when I was back home in Trinidad. And I watch all these soldiers. They never run from a fight. As a matter of fact, they will run into the enemy, right? And you know, you watch in medieval times, they fight with swords, and I'm amazed. You seeing people with shields and swords and spears, and you run in full speed at them, right? Because that's what it means to be a man. You are never running away from adversity. You are facing the adversity and you're trying your best to overcome it. And you might fail in that attempt, but being a man means you have to attempt. And so in the marriage context, I'm saying, men, this is a shout out to all of the good men and the not so good men. You gotta try whatever you you need to do to be able to make your relationship successful, you know. And that's what the show is for. This show is about empowering men to become all that they can be, you know.
Appreciate you saying that. And I'm just connecting it with something that Cynthia said earlier, in that when they're in that situation of there's the rumbling downstairs and Joey's, you know, he's gonna get up and take care of you. It's not because he's not scared.
He is scared.
He may be very scared.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what he's fighting for or protecting is far more important than what might be scaring him outside. And that's you, that's the family, and that's everything there.
Absolutely. But I do want to touch on the point, because I do think divorce, unfortunately, for some is inevitable. But I go back to outside of marriage, your relationships. When you start dating someone, it's you have to. You can't go into that in a selfish way. So you can't just start dating someone, well, you're really pretty and I like to hang out with you and I would like to go to bed with you. You know? Okay, well, first of all, again, going back to what is your ultimate outcome? And if this is your outcome, what do you need to have with you? What tools do you need to have throughout this journey to ensure that outcome is what you both want to achieve? So I do, like, I know Joey was married previously, and I you know, it didn't work, but it works so incredibly well now. I mean, I call her my ex-wife because, you know, I feel like we've got a connection where, you know, the kids are the priority. You know, Jacob, my youngest, has grown up with her daughter as if they were siblings. So I think sometimes, unfortunately, divorce is inevitable, but you can do your best to safeguard yourself by getting to know yourself first and really understanding what is your definition of marriage. The definition that my parents had as marriage was not one that I want to live. I walk into my household and know I'm equal with my husband. I know it. Where my parents walked in, and I don't think that either of them, I think my mom felt she was more domineering at times, and my dad, and the relationship really kind of just went back and forth and wobbled at times, where I know when I sit down and say, Joey, I need to have a conversation with you, he's not going to come, you know, with his tail between his legs, worried. He's going to go, okay, well, let's have a chat. So do your work before you sign that contract. You know, you wouldn't sit down and sign a lease without reading the contract, right? So develop your contract and then figure out if that marriage is right for you. Before you make that decision, because divorce isn't fun, and it is, you do feel like a failure. It's one of those things where it's not it's not something that anyone chooses to go through. So yeah, do your homework ahead of time, and again, map out what that journey looks like, and then focus on your outcome.
Some powerful piece of information coming right here on the Wrecking Trade. We're talking about, is marriage still worth it? We're looking at two married people, unicorns, as they share their views on how they've seen the absence of success, they've seen failure situations, they've seen the potential for failure in their own situations, and they've chosen to take an active stance and to do active things to mitigate those problems and to create success, to create their own happiness. You're listening to The Wrecking Trade right here on Bobo FM.
Welcome to The Wrecking Trade, this and every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m., the radio show that provides a platform for a deeper understanding of issues affecting men in the Cayman Islands. Join us as we explore the low enrollment of men and boys in college classrooms, the absence of men in the church, and the absence of fathers in the home. Join the conversation as we help men find their place in the modern world. Through engaging interviews with experts and members of the community, we provide a clear picture of what healthy masculinity looks like as an example for boys and girls. Our mission is to provide a voice for men, to help them navigate the challenges that they face and provide hope for a brighter future. So tune in this and every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. and join the conversation on The Wrecking Trade. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of men and boys in the Cayman Islands. Brought to you by Oscore Fitness, strong inside, powerful outside, and the Bellagio Salon and Spa, where beauty is reimagined.
Boy, how do you do it? I mean, all you do at the church, family, work, and you have two businesses?
You know, church, family, work, that's life, yo. But our own businesses? No, that's another story.
You see, that's what I'm talking about. How either you have time for that, man? Immigration, pension, health, work permits. She does all of that.
That's where this business, my office, comes in. My office has professional staff that helps me with all the paperwork. Even assistance to my employees for personal needs like visa or passport applications. As for my business needs, my office has me covered. They do the paperwork and the legwork to save me time, energy, and money.
Man, this really got me encouraged. I mean, I want to start my own business, but I just didn't know where to start.
Trust me, go see my office today. They will help you with your trade and business license application to get you started. Located in Industrial Park, right across from the Ashley Furniture Store. My office is your office for all your personal and small business administrative needs without the cost of the office overhead.
You got a number, you know?
947-8370.
My office, how can we help you today?
You're listening to The Wrecking Trade right here on Bobo FM. I'm Robert Lynch. We've been getting into it right here on The Wrecking Trade, where we're talking about, is marriage still worth it? And our takeaway before the break, what I was getting from you is, as you're looking at the landscape, you're seeing a situation where persons, as you might have said, they're not being as prepared as they could be for this long-term engagement that says till death do us part. You said in those situations, divorce may be inevitable. And as I listened to that, I thought to myself, is it inevitable, or is it that people don't have the skills, and how do we manage that? Because someone may be listening and going, we're fighting, we're just not working out. Is it inevitable that we break up, or can we do something differently to mitigate that or stop that from happening?
No, I feel that it's all about communication, and if you cannot communicate, the two of you together, then you need to get somebody involved and mediate, because that person perhaps could give some different perspective. But going back to what we were chatting a bit earlier, and not to bring it back to that, but to say, some people need to define what marriage is to them. I know what marriage is to me, what works within my household. Some people would not agree that my husband has grumpy old men night every Thursday, while I stay home and deal with the kid. But that works for me. Yes. And I can go out and not call, but if he goes out and doesn't call, there's a problem. So but those few little double standards work in our relationship. So I think people need to figure out, when they get into a committed relationship, and if they want to move toward marriage, what is that? Are we gonna, are there certain nights that are my nights? Are you, what's the bedroom situation like? How often are we going to be intimate? I mean, I'm not trying to get down to that level, but
But sometimes we need to.
But sometimes you need to. A man needs and a woman needs. So if it's important to have those conversations and not wait until you're in marriage and go, oh shoot, well, you know what? I'm tired this week. So it goes to that open communication and being vulnerable. Being vulnerable in a relationship is the greatest thing that you can do, because the level of respect that you can have with one another, when you show that vulnerability, is that will ensure a long-term relationship. My opinion, but a long-term relationship.
Awesome. Enjoying and appreciating the opinions that you're sharing. Wrendon?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think for the sake of those that are in relationships and it feels like, this isn't working, as Cynthia said, I think seeking help is always an option. I mean, it's something. I mean, we have done counseling. My wife and I have done counseling before we got married, even while we were married. And you don't have to do counseling when something is wrong. It's maintenance.
You're servicing your car only because it's broken down.
Yeah. And I think part of the challenge, particularly for men, is because we've been taught that men should never be vulnerable, and men should never show emotion or express emotion. And that's one of the reasons why I'm having the conversation with my daughter at 5 years old, because I'm showing her, hey, men can express how you feel about stuff. Men can cry. Men can be vulnerable. You don't cry when the enemy is right there about to fight.
Oh no, we're under attack.
Right? But we are, because we're human beings, right? So I think it's important to seek help. There are resources available on island, but I think the deeper challenge is a commitment for each person to try to reclaim the what has been lost, and that is we didn't have opportunities to self-explore and self-discover who we are, and you are asking someone to love you and respect you, but you don't even know you, right? And so, while some of the challenges are happening, each person also needs to take some time out to try to really get to know themselves and know, again, and like Cynthia said, what is marriage for you?
Yeah.
Because you may come to realize that you guys want two completely different things and have completely opposed definition of marriages. In that case, I would say divorce is inevitable, because unless somebody is willing to
compromise, or both parties are willing to compromise and come to like a blended type definition. If you in completely opposite directions, that is going to be disaster, right?
And responsibilities.
So,
you know, I remember this was years ago. I think I was in university, and I remember always feeling like this person that I'm with, they're responsible for me. Like, I'm not happy, or if I say something, that you have to negate that and tell me I'm special. Like, I wasn't needy. I felt like I was still a strong, powerful individual. When I walked into a room, I could get my point across. But in a relationship, I only saw what happened in my household. So I only knew that, well, you're responsible. I'm hungry.
So
I'm hungry. You need to fix that. Oh, I'm more than capable of feeding myself. But at the time, I'm like, well, I'm in a relationship, so feed me. So it's really being honest with yourself and knowing, like as you said, know yourself and love yourself, because the only way another person can love you is if you love yourself first. Joey is not responsible for making sure my day goes well or bad. You know,
he can help, but he is not.
He can help, but I'd much prefer to help myself. Because that just makes me a greater resource when I walk through the door in that evening. You know, I also feel like oftentimes people will forget in any relationships, marriage or just dating, you gotta spend time together, just the two of you. There should be a date night at least once a week. You don't have to stay out forever. You don't have to spend loads of money. One day, Joey and I just went snorkeling off of Kimpton. Didn't cost anything. Okay, we went for drinks after. But you know, it's
the cost of drinks.
But it's bringing back a little bit of that you and I time, because kids get in the way, work gets in the way, an aggravating board, control board gets makes you irritated in the evening. So you just. It's really important to make that investment, and again, showing that vulnerability.
Absolutely. And I'm loving the conversation as we're exploring, is marriage still worth it? And we're talking to two groups of people right now. We're talking to people who may already be married and don't know themselves, and so you're trying to figure it out and trying to work it out, and you might not have walked in with the same understanding, the same appreciation of what marriage looks like. How do you mitigate that? How you manage that? Get help, talk to someone, see if you can get to a place where here we are, especially if there are kids in the relationship. How do we navigate to a place where we can both find happiness in the situation? I also took some powerful counsel from you, in that if you're a young person thinking about getting married, thinking about, is marriage worth it? Do you want to get married? One of the key things that you may want to do is, what does marriage mean for you? And what do you bring to the relationship? What is it that you're willing to be in that relationship? And it might not be the most beneficial situation to be, I'm going to be the one who needs stuff, so you need to give me whatever I need. It is to find that balance where you both bring something to the relationship and you can both contribute something to each other's life. Something that you said resonated with me, in that one of the things that helped you to not necessarily put as much pressure on Joey to make you happy was that you want to be a resource when you come home. So he doesn't need to fix everything from you.
Make me cry.
That was powerful, and I must shout out Cynthia.
Yes.
So about half an hour ago, when you took the second break, you know, and this is what I say: women have a gift, and you know, social media has make women feel like that's a curse. Like, women can see things and be empathetic and very sensitive. Like I think a woman can know how a man's day was without him saying a word when he walks through the door. But a woman will have to tell the man how her day was, because we don't have that. We don't have that gift. We're not as good mind readers as a woman. So about half an hour ago, you know, your colleague walking here with a script, and you know, I'm there. She is actually talking, and she is able to, mid conversation, while she was about to hit a big point, be able to see, I think, you know, my senses are telling me, I think we might need to go to a break here. And I sat here and I'm like, that's the gift that I'm talking about, because I didn't see it. I mean, I saw him coming. I saw him coming. Something is happening. But a woman can be like, you know what? Let me pause how I feel right now. I know I was gonna say something really powerful, but you know what? That's a gift that a woman can harness. They're able to, you know, you can imagine a man comes home and the woman sees how his shoulders droop a little coming through the door and realize, boy, this day was really tough, right? And what she does, he sits and she comes, rubs his shoulder, take off his socks, say, let me get you a glass of water. You understand? I know today was tough, you know? A man now will walk into the door. Let's say the man comes home early and the wife comes home late, and she comes home, hi honey, hey babe, how you doing? Good. He is clueless unless she says.
I'm not gonna lie, I did train Joey. I will never forget. It was when we were dating. There were like, it might be a whole day. A whole day would go by, and I go, this man has not even reached out to say, how are you alive? And I remember I had a conversation with him, and I said, listen, here's what I need. I need you to at least message me twice a day. Around lunchtime and at the end of the day, because you weren't living together. But I said twice a day. I need you to connect and check in on me. Because I'm checking in on you, and to this day he does that.
And that's interesting and powerful to the extent that it was very clear and very specific. And a man can go, hey, guess what? I can do this.
You guys are so easy. You really are.
Very easy.
You give me something. Oh, this is the task that you need to do. This is the time that you need to do it, and it's gotten done.
Done. And no harm, no foul. No offense. He was like, absolutely, I can do that. I was like, great. I'm glad I asked. You know, it was. But it takes that initiative, and I hope too he would feel comfortable to do the same. But. That's how you say that.
What is it that allowed you to communicate it in that way instead of potentially in many situations person go, I'm upset, you don't check in on me, and get into that negative space?
If you do that, then you push the man off.
That's not going to work. No, I think it was like, why is this doesn't feel right to me. Doesn't feel right. And again, going back to Joey is not responsible for how I feel. Joey is not responsible for taking care of me. My family to a certain extent, but I too am responsible for taking care of our family. So, but he is not responsible for my emotional state. So if something bothers me, I'm very, very good at communicating and telling him, like, listen, one of our first arguments, and he waited like almost 48 hours to forgive me. And I called him up and I said, this is completely unreasonable. This is not going to work. If you feel that it's going to take you 2 days, I go, I'll give you 24 hours. I'll meet you in the middle. But 48 is ridiculous.
It's not going to work.
And he's laughing. He goes, but I'm upset with you. And I said, well, not anymore.
You missed by a day.
Yeah, and I was like, there's more benefit in our relationship than there is harboring some anger for 48 hours. Like, how did that serve you for your day? Not well. So let's just move past it. So I think a woman not being afraid to be vocal, but not agitating. There's no need to bring emotions into it, because I agree with you. The minute you do, you guys are just like, well, you're blaming me. I'm out.
And that's an interesting take. And because I'm listening to it and I'm hearing you being able to separate the emotional context from the what needs to happen. Oh, I'm upset right now. I'm maybe even feeling alone, left out. One of those words, one of those emotional words. But I'm able to go, he's not making me feel that, right? And so I don't need to attack him for that. But this is what he can do. Hey, if you text me twice a day and do that check-in, that will help me to manage my own feelings. And so you gave him a specific task that's easy to handle, that's not attacking, that then he can now take, and now you're both happy, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm talking to a unicorn, right? How are you able to separate that emotional aspect? Because many times women will have conversation, go, well, this is how I feel, and this is who I am.
Well, when I'm old, I think it's been years of experience, but and also I think as you learn more about yourself and you know where your triggers are, you can pull yourself back, and you have to do it not just in your relationship, which is one of the most valuable things to you, but you have to do it at work. I mean, how focused or how productive will you be if you're in a boardroom and you're across from the CEO and you're pissed off you're angry because you had to stay late working on this special report, and then he's upset that it wasn't done this way, and you get angry with him and start to argue. How is that going to serve you or him or your paycheck? Same with the relationship, and your relationship is the most valuable thing that you can have, because it's two of you against the world.
Exactly.
Wait.
That is so powerful.
That's how I feel.
Something just exploded in my head just now, and that thought was, are you saying the same skills that serve you in the boardroom can serve you in the bedroom in your relationship?
Yes. Maybe not in the bedroom.
At home.
But over dinner, yes. Or a date night. Yeah. I think it's really important for you to, and if you do feel yourself getting upset, that needs to be said. Listen, this is really getting me upset, and maybe we take a break for a bit. It takes a level of maturity to get to that point, but I'm going to tell you, in the long run, and you're not sacrificing who you are. you're not giving anything away. You're giving yourself space and time, and you're giving the person the respect to have their own space and time.
Yep. That's really powerful, man. I felt so good hearing that, because that's the view that I hold. And I guess a lot of people disagree. And my view is, at work, you learn how to manage your emotions, and it allows you to be successful. Why won't women think that those same skill sets
and men
having those same skill sets in the home in terms of communication and managing how you feel, managing your emotion, not being all up in your feelings, because when you're all up in your feelings, you can't have
your brain doesn't work.
You don't have a rational conversation with rational conclusions, right? So you have to be able to pull yourself back, validate your feelings, and say, yeah, this is how I feel. I mean, my 5-year-old, that's what we teach it, because we never learned those skills growing up, right? When boys fight, it's because inside they hurt, but they can't say anything, so they use their fist, right? A lot of domestic abuse that happens is
poor communication.
Poor communication. The man hasn't learned how to use his words to communicate, and he may have seen that in his home growing up, but that's just his default. Well, I'm just gonna be angry, and then some women trigger that anger, so it makes it even worse, right?
Oh,
so
we're good. We are really good. If we want to make you angry, we know how to do it. But I will go also just to bring the physical body into it. You know, hormones play a factor, both not just in women but men as well. And so identifying those triggers, you know, it's been over the years. But it's very quick for a woman when they're feeling emotional to blame something on the person that's closest to them, and then that can just really snowball. So it takes so much energy and focus to figure out, okay, what is this that I'm feeling, and asking yourself that question and giving yourself the space and time. If the kids need dinner, or if this is happening in the household, you just say, I need to breathe. I need to just walk out of the house for 5 minutes, or just walk out. Close the door behind you and say 5 minutes.
They're not going to die if they don't eat for 5 minutes.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Or even sometimes you're like, I need to go for a drive. I need to go for a walk. And get yourself away from the situation to try and figure out what exactly is going on. Because I don't want to hurt the people that I love the most. So I need to figure out what's happening in me before I can find the words to share it amongst the people I care the most about.
Powerful. It's now 11:40, and as the time is going by, I'm really, really enjoying this conversation. I think it really sets the stage and establishes the tone that we're looking for in how do we create success. Is marriage still worth it? I'm gathering from what you've been saying so far that you think it's worth it, yes?
For me.
Yep, it is.
Right. So we've touched on it a little bit. We've kind of teetered on the edge in that, hey, how do we communicate that to the next generation so they don't have to take as long to get there as we did, right? How do we help persons to find success and understand themselves going in, as opposed to having to try to figure it out in the middle of it and maybe have to pull the ripcord?
I'm not perfect. I'm the perfect me, because there's no one like me. But I'm certainly not societal's perfect. And I have a young son, and I know that I've asked him questions before he was interested in dating. Oh, is there a girl? Is there a boy? And I regret doing that looking back, because now he's 15 and he's dating girls, and I'm going, wait. Why did I put the pressure on him at such a young age? So I feel as though what I would love to see in society is put less pressure on finding that partner as quickly as you find them. Right?
I put more pressure on self-discovery and helping the person understand who they are, what their likes, what their dislikes, what their triggers, what their core values are, so they can be the perfect mate or spouse for somebody in the future.
For a best version of themselves.
The best version of themselves,
I look at, again, going back to that 15-year-old, and I know his hippocampus in his brain isn't quite where it needs to be yet. He's not that mature adult. But I watch him on his journey, and it saddens me, because I know that he will, because society has more pressure on him than he has in his own household, he will have to find his own way. I look at school, they're at school longer than they are in our household for however many months out of the year. And then we're away for vacations or whatever else, but they're on their phone, they're on their social media. They get inundated with so many the information about relationships.
And misinformation.
Yes, and the music these days, there's just so much influence that as a parent, it's really hard to safeguard your children. So I feel all we can do is be our best in a marriage, so that at least they can see
Modeling.
what works.
Gotcha.
Or what not doesn't work all the time, but we try. It's a working effort. But it's really challenging for these young kids. So the future, these next generations, going back to the need to do self-discovery, go on trips, go travel, go be yourself, go make poor decisions, as long as you're not life or death. But go and make mistakes, fall on your face, get back up, and do it for yourself, because if you're able to do that, you will make a good partner, because you'll know yourself.
Gotcha. So if you were to bring that down to three things that you say specifically to your son to help him be the best version of himself, what would that be?
Oh my gosh, I love him. What I do say to him is, you be you. And if anybody says anything about you, know that it's not coming from the right place. And that's pretty much it. You be you. And you fall. It's okay. And it's okay to cry, and it's okay to be anxious. Find ways that are going to work for you to cope. Don't be ashamed of who you are, and don't be afraid to have a voice. But you be you, and don't allow yourself to be what society is wanting you to be.
Appreciate that. Wrendon.
Yeah, for my little girl, my wife and I have this little plaque right by her bedside. And so when she wakes up every morning and before she goes to sleep every night, it's there. It says, "You are special, chosen, unique, beautiful, and strong." And there's a scriptural reference that tags her. Now she knows it by heart, forward and backward. So every day I drill her, "Hey, who are you?" And then she'll say, "You want me to start from the back or from the front?" Yeah, both. Right? Yeah. So I think drilling into your children, like Cynthia said, their self-identity, letting them know that they are special, that they are unique. Like, there's nobody like them. They don't have to conform to be somebody else, because they were made special and unique, and live in that identity. That way you are more focused on finding out who this special creature is than trying to say, "I need to be like him or her," or "I need to change so that person there can like me." No, you find you, and you do you. And I say that in inverted commas. That doesn't mean do whatever. That means understand who you are, understand the uniqueness of yourself, and there will be someone that really appreciates that uniqueness in you.
And we've done what we can do to provide them with the values that they need.
Yep.
Now it's how they use those values and maneuver through society as they grow up.
I did want to pick up, I don't want to unpack it completely, but I did want to touch in on something you said earlier, which was when you're getting into a relationship, one of the things that might be key is to go, okay, fine, because hookup culture is a thing right now. There's a bunch of apps where you can go, oh, let me just meet up with this person. It is really to go, what is my long-term vision for myself, and how does this thing that I'm going to be doing right now, how does that play into that, contribute to that, or does that take away from that? And that might be some important counsel for some young people right now, to think about who you want to be, where you want to go, and maybe start investing in learning how to be that. So if you do want to have kids, if you do want to become a wife or a husband, how do you learn the skills that maybe won't be in the academic curriculum that you're going to do to take a degree, but how do you learn those skills of communication so that you can apply those things when those difficult situations come along? Or how do you learn how to access that emotional aspect of yourself if it is not a part of your family makeup? Right? So looking at these soft skills, looking at these things that we can connect with, and then learning how to incorporate them. How do you see mentorship?
I think it's important. I think it's really important. I've done a couple of things with like the Chamber of Commerce, and it's incredible to see just how fragile these kids are. And I know from the outside, they come across as being these big guys, but in a room with adults, and you start asking them questions. I mean, I had one do a presentation for us, and she ends up crying. I'm like, oh no, that wasn't the intention, but it almost was, because she showed some vulnerability and allowed us to understand who she really is. And I hope that too was a gift for her. But I think mentoring is incredibly important for men in particular. I think it's something that is invaluable. My son's going to this morning sunrise that Coach Corey's doing. So every morning, or twice a week, because he's a boy, twice a week we take him down. He either John Gray or UCCI, and he plays from 5:30 until 6:45. And while that isn't somebody taking him for lunch or whatever else, to me, Coach Corey is a form of a mentor.
Yes.
Where he has the energy and he is excited and he's being exposed to kids of different, demographics, income levels, everything else. And it just, to me, it's making him a more well-rounded individual. So I think if a young person that is listening, or if there's a parent out there that's listening, I think we're doing our part that we can in our household. But there are programs in Cayman. If your child is interested in either sports or is looking for something to do after school, there are mentoring programs that you can find. You can Google it online, and you will see that it will have a positive impact on your child.
Awesome. We do understand that we live in an imperfect world where not everyone is in that perfect family situation, or even a good family situation that may be useful for them to become their best selves. But there are programs that are available on island. How do you see mentorship?
No, I completely agree. I mean, I consider myself an unofficial mentor for pretty much all of my life here in Cayman Islands. I just love young people. And I think I am who I am today because, some persons like myself took some time out during my teenage years, and give me some of the tools. I'm still equipping myself with other tools that they didn't give me. But I think mentorship is critical. I think sports and music. So I play sports, and I play music, and so I have seen the benefits of being able to be part of a team. As mentorship. So when she is speaking about the football, I'm just feeling good inside. Because one of the key things for boys especially is learning how to function with other people. It sets a framework for relationships, right? It's not just you alone. Imagine if you play in football, you have 10 other persons and you want to keep the ball for the entire time. You want to score all of the goals. No, it doesn't work that way, right? And music, you playing in a band, or you practicing a piece and you're trying to get it right. All of those skills
to harmonize.
All of those skills are critical for real relationships. So I strongly encourage mentorship. That can be through sports, through music, through big brother, big sister, giving boys an opportunity. Robert and I do some of this at the side with some young men as well. We just take them Cayman Bay. I went to Cayman Bay. I'm like, there's a few times I've gone Cayman Bay with like 4 or 5 young teenage boys on a Saturday night, and I was blown away. I'm like, we are the only ones here that has any type of like mentorship or adult supervision, and I just see kids the same age just who in that dark corner across there, and I'm like, what are they doing? Like who are guiding these? We have 4 or 5, and you're seeing like 50 others or 100 others who just left their own device, and I think as parents sometimes we fail if we don't give the right type of guidance. That doesn't mean that kids shouldn't go out and have fun, but I mean just to leave people to their own women fancy. Teenagers, I remember when I was a teenager.
it may not be ideal. But we also understand that not everyone is in the best situations. Even just because someone has kids doesn't mean that they're the best parents. And so being able to support persons through those situations might be, as you said, stepping in with young boys might be, hey, providing support or additional help to the single mother or parents who may be struggling in their situation. It's about 11:51. Final thoughts. I'll allow both of you to offer your final thoughts on the show and then take a minute to promote wherever you do business, how persons can connect with you.
Robert, I just want to thank you for the opportunity. I love getting together and having interesting conversation with individuals, whether it's like-minded or completely opposite opinions. So I really appreciate the opportunity to chat. I hope some of the things that I have shared has helped those persons that perhaps are listening. I feel as though I was put on this earth to really be a conduit. Someone that, whether it's lessons I've learned or even if I'm interviewing people, their information comes through and gets put out to the masses. So the fact that I was given the opportunity to do so today, I really, really appreciate it. So thank you. Promoting the store more. No, let's let this be about you and the fact that you're doing such a good thing in the community. And thank you again for the opportunity.
And I appreciate you sharing that. One of the things that usually comes out of this show is sometimes someone may be listening, and there's a young girl who may be listening, and she's trying to figure out her way in the world, and she's resonated with some of the things that you said. And so even being able to share where they can contact you, how they can reach you, they can come under the guise of, hey, I want to buy out whatever you sell, but then really a chance to connect with you. So
okay, well, if you are listening, and you do, if you ever want to have a conversation or a quick chat, you can always reach me at Vivant. It's a store at Camena Bay, a kitchen store that I have. And I will say, for any young ladies that are out there, or moms, wives, if you are listening, know that there are going to be really, really bad days, but the benefit of that is that there are always going to be good days too. So it's inevitable, and it's life cycle. It's what you do with those bad days and what you focus on that is going to make a big difference in what you see for your future.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, again, I just want to, before I give my parting word, just want to commend you on an excellent job that you're doing. You know, I love to see men do things that are different. And so this radio show that you started, I think it is helping people. I think time will tell, you know, those that are being impacted positively. I know some people are probably being triggered, but triggering is not a bad thing, because if it causes someone to rethink and think about stuff from a different point of view, that's also beneficial. So my parting words are, relationships still work. They can work. It requires work. It requires a level of self-discovery, a level of vulnerability. And if you have challenges, welcome to the club of relationships. What you do with those challenges, as Cynthia says, and what you do with those bad days is what will really define you. And so, you know, we encourage persons to seek help if they need to spend time getting to know themselves, and to learn how to communicate effectively.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. You're listening to The Wrecking Trade right here on Mobile FM and on YouTube. And we've been talking to some really great guests. We've been talking to Cynthia Hew, and we've been talking to Wrendon Timothy. And we've explored the question, does marriage still work? And I'm hearing a resounding yes, it still works. There are definitely some skills that we need to work on to make sure they work, or to help them to be successful. And that has been communication. Looking at what we need to do to be able to communicate effectively and assertively in our situation, so we can express ourselves in a way that is not attacking the other person, but allows them to get a clear picture of what we need and how they can participate in that help. We've also talked to some young people about how they can picture themselves, how they can distinguish themselves, how they can help to figure out who they are even before they get into relationships, so that once they do get into those relationships, they can have the best outcomes, because they know who they are and what they're bringing to the table. And we just love this conversation. We appreciate your feedback, your support. We are up to over 17,000 subscribers in under 6 weeks, and over 30,000 views of our videos so far, and that is because you have found a space for this conversation in your life, and we invite you to be a part of the conversation. Like, comment, and share it with a friend. Help them to be a part of the conversation. Drop a comment if there's a question that you want us to explore. Please feel free to log in, send a note, so that we can understand what you need, so we can better serve those needs. Also, we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to get the best we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to get the best sense of what you need and how we're providing that. And so we also have a blog, robertnflynch.com, where we explore some of these conversations in smaller packages, just 2-minute reads, where you can find out about building confidence, where you can find out about what it means to be a man, where you can find out more about learning or appreciating women in your lives, what they need to bring to the table, so that you can find the best opportunity in those smaller bites of being able to express yourself, understand yourself, or develop some other skill. I'm Robert Lynch. This is The Wrecking Trade right here on Mobile FM, and we continue to have awesome conversations with wonderful people. Any final thoughts to the guests before we go?
No. Have a great rest of the week.
Have a great rest of the week. Same here. Thank you to our unicorns for coming on and sharing their thoughts today. And so, thank you for listening.
Welcome to The Wrecking Trade, this and every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. The radio show that provides a platform for a deeper understanding of issues affecting men in the Cayman Islands. Join us as we explore the low enrollment of men and boys in college classrooms, the absence of men in the church, and the absence of fathers in the home. Join the conversation as we help men find their place in the modern world. Through engaging interviews with experts and members of the community, we provide a clear picture of what healthy masculinity looks like as an example for boys and girls. Our mission is to provide a voice for men, to help them navigate the challenges that they face and provide hope for a brighter future. So tune in this and every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m.
and join the conversation on The Wrecking Trade. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of men and boys in the Cayman Islands. Brought to you by Oscore Fitness, strong inside, powerful outside, and the Bellagio Salon and Spa, where beauty is reimagined.